Thank you, Chair. I'm Simon Langat Kimutai.
Thank you. Kindly hand over your ID for verification. Have you confirmed? Thank you very much. Mr. Langat, it is evening and people are taking tea. Would you want to have a cup of tea as we proceed?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
You're okay?
I'm okay.
Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you for this vetting. Your name was forwarded by His Excellency the Governor for the position of County Secretary. We will introduce ourselves as members of the Appointment Committee, starting from my left here.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Eric Kirui, MCA Kimulot Ward, and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. So my name is Honorable Kibet Ngatich, representing Shongore Ward, member of this committee. Welcome.
On my right.
Simon. My name is Roslyn Chipto, representing Rongana Manaret Ward and member to this committee.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Langat. I'm Paul Kiri, MC and Anabos Ward and Majority Leader, a member to this committee.
Thank you. Welcome to this committee. I'm Stephen Changmori, MCA from Longisa Ward, a member to this committee.
Thank you. And I'm the Chair, Cosmos Korir, also the Speaker of Bomet County. And the gallery is one Mr. Bennett and the members of Hansard team. At your back is Joyce, part of the Secretariat. We have Mr. Koech, right here, Mr. Oscar, Mr. Ken here, and others will still arrive. So welcome. I'll ask Mr. Ken here to administer the oath of truth, just to affirm that you are going to tell the truth to this committee.
I, Simon Kimutai Langat, do hereby solemnly swear that I shall testify on all matters in question and tell this committee the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I'll also ask you to present the clearances. That is one from CARE, Education Loans Board, ESCC, CIT, CRB, and all your academic documents to the officer. So, Mr. Langat, what is your net worth?
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. I'm worth 22 million Kenya shillings.
In cash?
Chair, it is in form of assets, land, buildings, vehicles, shares, like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tell us in brief, strictly 2 minutes. Tell us in short about yourself.
Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Simon Kimutai Langat. I'm a resident of this county of Bomet, Kanoin sub-county, Poita Ward, Kaptibengwet location, and Chebelok sub-location, Kableja village. I went to Kambangun Primary School for my primary education, then proceeded to Kericho High School for secondary school education, Thereafter, joined Kenyatta University to study Bachelor of Education Science in Mathematics and Physics. After graduation, I was employed by Teacher Service Commission as a teacher, and posted to Koyo High School, where I rose through the ranks as a teacher, and then head of department, deputy principal. Later on, I was promoted by Teacher Service Commission to be a principal of Chemala Secondary School. And in the year 2018, I moved to the county government. Honorable Chair, while working under the Teacher Service Commission, I was contracted by Kenya National Examination Council as an examiner from the year 2001. I also rose through the ranks to become a senior examiner, and I was given a letter of commendation for the great service that I gave to the Kenya National Examination Council. I was also engaged in by Center for Mathematics and Science and Technology in Africa, SEMASTEA, as a master trainer to train my colleagues in my field of study in the district. I also held a position of vice chair in the Heads Association for Principals in the sub-county of Kanoin. I also was organizing secretary and also a member of the academic committee. Chair, in the year 2018, I applied to be a chief officer in the county government of Bomet, and I was successfully recruited and became the chief officer at the Department of Education and Vocational Training, where I served till 2021. I was moved to the CEO Public Service, and His Excellency the Governor also appointed me to be acting county secretary, where I still work now. Thank you, sir.
Now that you are the county secretary, you've been acting. So you know what I want to ask. That is an executive order number 1 of 2022 by His Excellency the Government. That is on reorganization of the reorganization structure of the county government of Bomet. In that order, I want you to elaborate on the functions that were assigned to the office of the county secretary. In particular, I want you to distinguish between your office and that of the public service, which is under the CEC administration, public service and special programs. What is the difference between the two?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. As per the executive order given by His Excellency the Governor on reorganizing and restructuring the government, the office of the county secretary, or rather the county secretary, has some duties and responsibilities which are mainly from the County Government Act. One of them is secretary to the county executive committee, where the governor is the chair and members are CCs. Being the secretary, the CS prepares the business or agenda for the committee meeting. Also keeps the minutes of the committee meeting, and also passes the resolution or conveys the resolutions and decisions made by the county executive committee to various departments or agencies that these resolutions should go to. At the same time, the county secretary chairs what we call County Human Resource Advisory Committee, which is consisting of the chief officers who are authorized officers having delegated power by the County Public Service Board to handle staff matters. So the CS chairs that advisory committee that looks into staff matters from departments before they move to the board. For example, discipline issues, promotion, issues of training, recruitment initiation, informal recruitment plan. So the CS chairs that committee. The CS also is a liaison office for between the county government executive and the external agencies. We have commissions, national commissions, national offices. That communication between the county government and those commissions and agencies through the CS, and also agencies within the structure of the county government. If there is, for example, a policy that has been passed, or some communication to the county assembly, this great house, county assembly, it passes through the CS, even to the county public service board, which is an agency of the county government that is responsible for staff matters also. The county sector is also in charge of performance contracting, whereby coordinating staff set targets for purposes of appraisal and for service delivery. So the county secretary also coordinates performance contracting, performance management, and even appointing committees like task forces that have been formed in county executive committee. As relates to the CC in charge of public service, CC public service, like any other county executive member, is in charge of policy, formulating policies, and of course presenting before the committee, CC committee, before resolutions or proposals are made to this house for purposes of final approval. So the CC is in charge of policy formulation, and the CC also is in charge of overall administration of Department of Public Service Administration and Special Programs. In other words, is the overall administrator in charge of the staff in that department. But the CS coordinates affairs across all the departments. Of course, the CC also has a CEO under him or her,
Yes.
who is the accounting officer and authorized officer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, over time, after serving as the county secretary, acting county secretary, I believe you have experience, considering you have been the deputy principal at some time, you've been the principal at a given time, then you served as the CEO. So what lessons have you learned, or what is your experience which actually is relevant to this position that you are being nominated to? Are there special skills that you've acquired?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. First of all, from the time I was made a principal, a deputy principal, I have had over, can say 12 years experience in administration, handling administrative duties, even in the county government as a CO in 2 departments. I can see as I've had experience in handling matters or issues that are relevant to the office of the county secretary. First of all, handling staff matters. We have been able to participate in recruitment process, issues of discipline control, issues of promotion, and handling particularly staff matters. I want to take an example, like when I was chief officer education, we had a challenge with the ECD teachers. I felt that they were underpaid, they did not have a scheme of service, and because there was no national scheme of service that had already been adopted, because it required huge budgetary allocation in all the counties. So working with my CC and the team, we decided to develop an internal temporary scheme of service as advised by SRC, which improved their pay, and we work with the public service board, and somehow the staff were motivated. And Chair, as we speak now, we are in the process of Well, that EPAB is a process of adopting the national scheme. So in that process, I was able to handle that matter because it touched on a very huge workforce, over 1,300 staff. And also, Chair, the experience also I've had in terms of problem solving. When I also was in public service, I joined public service, there was an issue between medical practitioners and dental union, KMPDU, and over CPA. They had gone to court. I sat down with the parties, and then we struck an implementation matrix that was able to, we were able to implement what was there in that CPA, and we resolved the problem. So somehow there I have negotiation skills, leadership skills, also problem solving skills,
Yes.
that kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for answering that question. I want, therefore, to give Honorable Chang Mori.
Thank you very much, Mr. Langat. How long have you been serving as the acting county secretary?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I slightly over 1 year.
Over 1 year.
Of 1 year, I was given the responsibility last year, September.
Still, your letter of appointment being to the acting capacity is still on, or it expired?
Through the chair, I was given, first of all, the first assignment. We were waiting the outcome of a court process involving the CS who was leaving. And then after 6 months, that had been decided. I was given another letter this year. We're still holding up to now. Slightly, I think up to elections, something like that.
So for the last few months, you are not in a position of acting?
I am acting.
Still acting. Still the letter is still active?
Yes.
Okay. There is legal framework and values and principles of the public service. The office of the county secretary is a critical office clothed with powers and functions that ensure proper functioning of the county government. In discharging of the mandate of the office of the said office, the holder is obligated to operate under the elaborate legal and policy framework. Kindly indicate some of the laws that were relying on during your mandate as the acting county secretary. The laws and policies that you are relying.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I want to appreciate the question asked by the Honorable Member. The first document or legal document that is very important to all of us is the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, because it has got chapters on devolution. That's one of them that we are using. We also have the chapter on integrity, touching on public officers and also state officers. The other legal document is the County Government Act, which spells out the responsibilities and offices, all arms of government and their offices and all that. The other very key document, law, is Leadership and Integrity Act, 2012. There is also Intergovernmental Relations Act, which is dealing with the two levels of government, how they are supposed to relate, and if there are any disputes. And of course, because of the issue of the CS office coordinating the county government and the other agencies. We also have Transitional Authority Act. And in policy, Our policies, we have human resource policy and manual. Thank you.
Okay. So, in depending on those policies and laws, can you say you have always followed the law in executing your mandate in the county, in the office of the county secretary, in particularly hiring and removing of some employees? Have you followed the law? There is some letters that you wrote to some employees asking them to forget the office by 31st December 2022. Was there any alternative way of maybe conducting the suitability interviews so that you can retain them instead of was the law followed in the same?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Member who has asked the question. I want to say, in discharging my duties as Acting County Secretary, I followed the law, the rule of law, and being an office that also coordinates staff matters from departments, we have County Public Service Board delegates responsibility of some staff matters to the chief officers. They are called authorized officers. Issues, but they don't really finalize, they recommend. And then finally the board will handle these issues. I don't have the powers to hire or fire. Maybe by way of conveying a decision made, that office come into play. For example, the issue of the staff with letters. First of all, Chair and members, we must appreciate where this county has come from. There are staff who are serving under lapsed contracts, and there was a recommendation even from this house, this great honorable house, in a ad hoc committee last year, that we look into their issue and see whether if we still need their skills and they have experience, we regularize their employment through the County Public Service Board by extending their contract or employing them on better terms, P&P terms. There was also a report from State Department of Public Service that I prepared a rationalization report regarding how to handle these staff matters. Recommended the same. That was towards the end of last year, 2021. And then, of course, we could not, it was adopted by the cabinet. We were in the process of implementing some of these recommendations, then went for the elections. Thereafter, when this government came into power, it started working on these issues, and in line with also there was a directive by the head of public service to various government departments that we need to use the new payroll system. We use the integrated new payroll system. They call it Unified Human Resource Information System, that all payments for salaries and wages to be paid through that system. And this directive, because of this group we had, we gave this staff a duration of 3 months so that the Public Service Board has time to regularize their employment. And Honorable Chair and members, they have already started with the Department of Health, which has the bulk of this staff. They have advertised recruitment, and this is a way of suitability, because they'll be focusing on these staff who have been trained, they have experience in running affairs of the county, only that their terms are not up to date. So I want to clarify here, sorry Chair, that we have not told them to leave. I know the 31st December will come, and the County Executive Committee that made this resolution will also sit and look at that kind of thing. Otherwise, as CS was conveying, this is a Executive Committee meeting decision. Thank you.
Which means after that, the first, this staff will not leave.
Honorable Chair.
Or let me put it this way. These staff are our county residents, and the same government which give them letters is the same government which signed for them to take some loans. And from January, their loans are not being paid, will not be being paid, because you have stopped, you have told them the contract has ended. Who will take the liability of this loan if instead, even in case they leave? Because these are public, they have interest on the same question. The staff now, I'm answering on behalf of the staff, because I'm seeing them, they have sent some message that we need to know how the CS will get this problem of liabilities that they have taken from the loans from various banks in this county.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Member. I appreciate that question. As I said, the County Executive Committee will look into this issue, just like the way they looked into the extension. Actually, it was extension of contract. Because of timelines, we were not able to do 4 departments. But I know they'll come up with a favorable decision not to have what this let's say against the will of the employees. They'll give a favorable solution. Let's look forward to have a solution on this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Allow me to ask a question concerning the answer which he gave us concerning he said that he doesn't have the power to hire or fire, and yet he reissued the letters for employment and even termination letters. Which powers did he use?
Kindly answer that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Member was asked. We only give, I want to clarify, we only give letters for extension of contract for 3 months to allow engagement with the employer, Public Service Board, on whether to engage these staff, recruit them in the proper process, or give them a contract, renew the contract. As to letters of termination, I think there was a small problem. We retrieved those letters. I think there was a problem with the who were giving the letters. We don't have anybody who has termination of contract letter. And I want to make it very clear that the final decision of terminating or anything on a staff lies with the Public Service Board. Thank you.
On the same, who signed the letter? I saw the letter signed Simion Sang. Who is Simion Sang? And you are, I'm seeing here you are Langat. And I saw the letters that was signed by Simion Sang for County Secretary. Who is Simion Sang?
Thank you, Chair, Honorable Chair and members. Once this decision was made, we had a huge number of staff, and I took it to the HR department because it's an HR function, and the person who signed was the acting Human Resource Director. Thank you.
The question is HR domiciled in the executive or in the public service as per the executive order? Is this in public service or it's in your office?
Thank you, Chair and Honorable Member. In the organogram, like as I put it, of course, I'm also Chief Officer public service. Being Chief Officer Public Service, I'm the accounting officer for that department, and I'm also the authorized officer in charge of that department, public service. Public service section is having the human resource within that, because as we do anything on staff, it lands in HR. Implementation of all decisions, whatever is done in HR. Even as we talk, because the Public Service Board is independent, they have the independent mandate as per law, but they do it on behalf of the executive. Once they appoint a staff or promote a staff, that feedback comes to public service, and then implementation is done in HR, because this is where we have the systems and all other functions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I see Honorable Eric, you want to say something?
Yes, Chair, I can go straight to the question that I have for the nominee for the day. And first, before I ask him a question, Mr. Langat, I know the second level of engagement after passing the first interview for you to come here, which I know the journey has not been easy, but I want to congratulate you for having passed the first test. And here you are now for your submission. And an issue on PFM Act, the provision of PFM Act provides that the PE should not be more than 35% of the county budget. According to the report given by the Control of Budget, we're doing 43.4%. On the same financial statements, it indicates that you spend a colossal amount of money of 120 million on employees, on temporary or contractual employees. Being the head of public service, can you indicate the current number of employees, both in permanent and on permanent basis? Two, can you explain to this committee the strategies that you will use, put in place to adhere to the 35% threshold set out by the Control of Budget? And number three, the governor, in his address to the Assembly, he had said that he would put in place measures to bring a balance between the in recruiting the staff, so that for essential services, and also being able to bring in balanced staff that are needed in essential service departments. What are the strategies that you will put in place to make sure that the 5% rule is not contravened? And finally, as stated earlier, the expenditure for the remuneration on temporary employees is unsustainable. It's high, and part of it is suspected that there could be ghost workers in place. Does it contribute to the poor management of the payroll? And if yes, have you personally contributed to this menace in the management of the payroll or hiring of the ghost workers as alleged? Two, what step will you initiate to address this problem? I know it's a long question. Take your time to answer.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, and I much appreciate the question posed by Honorable Kirui, member of this committee. Really, the issue of personal emolument being huge to a wage bill has been a problem, not only in our county, but most of the counties. And I want to attribute this to when counties were started. Of course, there were devolved staff of various sections, LA staff, local authority. We have also the devolved from national government, and then of course recruited by Public Service Board of Bomet. And some of these staff, we have had challenges, or this county government from the beginning has had challenges in harmonizing their grading structures, their schemes of services. We even have, even from local authority, those who are in casual terms, but they were brought in. And this issue has never been addressed for a long time. One cause of this was we have two payroll systems. We have the IPPD, which is integrated system, integrating personnel and payroll database. Then sometimes back the county government had a system, a payroll system that was temporary to manage this because of the adopted by the government before. And the challenge with this system is that you are not able to, the system does it automatically. When somebody retires or leaves service, does not automatically remove from the payroll. That leads to a huge number, unless it is manually or reported that so and so has retired, so and so has shifted. So this is actually part of why it made the PE to be huge. I'll give a strategy on how this can be handled or has been handled, and this is what is raising the PE because of lack of cleaning of the same payroll. Now, one of the strategies to control, and we have already started, is regularly cleaning payroll by doing staff audit. Do head count, and then we determine those who are still in service, and those who have exited and are still in that payroll, they are removed. They are removed. And this is one way. The other way of controlling this wage bill to come down from 43 to 35 is by increasing the revenue streams, because it's a factor in the allocation. Once we have more revenue, we have this percentage coming down to less than 35% or thereabout. So we have already started this strategy of staff audit. We did last December, staff audit. A number of staff were cleaned from the payroll. Those who had retired left through natural attrition. And then also those who have been regularly employed and they have valid contracts, we move them to IPPD. By moving to IPPD, definitely you will be able to assure that those who are in IPPD are the staff who are on valid contracts, they have been regularly employed, and therefore we don't have the so-called cost workers. I want to say cost workers here, one of the contribution, the cost worker is an employee who is in the payroll but not working. I attribute this myself to when you don't clean those who have retired and those who have exited in the form of resignation or say transfer of service, that kind of thing. And of course those whose contracts have lapsed, but the system, the payroll system, does not remove them unless they are reported. So one other thing that we can do is to have a tool of management from the department that transmits, or let's say gives quick information from departments to human resource regarding status of the staff in terms of they are retiring, so that we process this thing very fast and we have a staff who are properly supposed to be in the payroll. As regards to recruitment, new recruitments, you know very well, members, and through the chair, that we have departments with aging population, aging staff, like agriculture and others. We have essential services. We have also emerging sections like climate change. We need staff, so we cannot avoid recruiting. But of course, we want to look at this, that when we clean, and of course, these essential staff being few, we are able to maintain. And of course, having the revenue increased, that kind of thing. We also want to explore ways of multitasking or multi-skilling. We may find that in support services areas, not technical, you may find that when a director or a senior staff retires and look at whether another can do the same work, it's possible that whoever remains can multitask, especially if the services are support services, not technical areas. We're able to reduce the wage bill by doing that kind of multitasking. I think that's been done in some of the counties. They are exploring that kind of thing. Thank you.
Chairman, I have a question that I would also ask the nominee, especially on the advert that went out for the Department of Health. Why did we do an external advert instead of doing an internal advert, and probably even rolling out a suitability test for the internal staff? Don't you think you're exposing the staff that have been serving for the long period within the county to external competition, and maybe from a past experience then expose them even to losing their jobs? Why didn't you advise that we do an internal advert for that advert?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Member. We had a very elaborate discussion with the County Public Service Board on the same, and I think what came out is some of these staff were, when they were recruited, the Public Service Board were not involved in engaging them, because it's a requirement by law that before you engage either casual or contract, you must seek approval from the Public Service Board. So that kind of thing was missing, and they had to be taken through the normal process. But I think we've discussed and agreed that they give an opportunity, first priority to the staff within, because as I said, these are staff who have dedicated their time, they have been loyal, they have worked, they have gained experience, the county government has spent money to train them, capacity build them, and they'll be given the priority. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to ask, who has not asked a question? Honorable Rosley.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Okay, Mr. Langat, following the Controller of Budget reports for the financial year ending June this year, 2022, the county government of Bomet used IBPD and manual payroll. Though you have said that it was some years back, but the report we have now, that means it's still on. And in the IBPD system, they channel 2.13 billion, while the manual scheduled payroll, they channel 1.24 billion. Okay, and actually, audit review of monthly payroll shows that some of the payroll details which lacked are details of dates of appointment, date of birth, paying back accounts, and workstation, and date of retirement. During the governor's speech, the governor acknowledged that there is this challenge, and also the challenge of human resource system, and he also promised that he will look upon the solution of the same. So you have been the acting county secretary for more than 1 year. Explain to this committee the reason why this situation has arisen and remained unresolved for a long period of time. Number 2, what practical step have you taken as the current office holder to address the abnormalities noted? Number 3, what are some of the solutions that you will propose to address this problem if approved?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and the members. I want to appreciate the question posed by Honorable Roslin regarding IPPD system and the manual system, which we are calling it HRSS, Human Resources Soft-Based System. I touched briefly on this system that it has taken long. These are inherited issues, but when you look at why it was brought in, it was on a temporary measure, so that as staff wait to be moved to IPPD, they have paid on time. It's a temporary arrangement, and but it turned out to be a big problem because somebody could have been on contract for 2 years, but to be able to get out of this system, it has to be done manually. That's called manual. We have to inform the user, and the user removes or that kind of thing. So this ballooned, and also even those who are properly recruited, waiting here, took time. So one thing we've done, Honorable Chair, is that we have fast-tracked the issuance of payroll numbers. That was a major problem because the department that issues payroll numbers is the State Department of Public Service under DPSM, and it's doing for the whole country, and it normally takes time. But what we have done is we've requested for more passwords, because initiation to get a payroll number, it has to be initiated from the level of human resource department in the county government. So we've increased the passwords for those who are initiating the process, about 3, and I'm happy to report that we've got, since April this year, we've got over 800 payroll numbers. The staff who are in this manual payroll have gotten the numbers and have been moved to IPPD. Also, we've applied a number of them as a result of that, giving passwords to more users of this to initiate. And I want to believe that this figure will reduce, and the ultimate goal or the ultimate objective is to close this system so that we use the proper IPPD and the more improved unified payroll system that is recommended by the government. This is going to reduce and address this query. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kibet.
Thank you, Chair. And Mr. CS, I just want you to take this question very seriously, because in case you get approved, this question will arise someday in future. So this committee is concerned in lumping of all personal emoluments, that is salaries in the administration department, to put in all perspective, that is salary and wages for all employees are lumped, consolidated and budgeted for in the Department of Administration, Public Service and Special Program, except for health and municipal councils or municipal boards rather. The budget appropriation has constantly recommended that all department entities and county corporation must budget for its personal emolument to its accountability. Why have you disregarded the Assembly recommendation? This, considering the Assembly recommendation was sent to you. Secondly, what steps will you ensure that the Assembly recommendation on ensuring that salaries and wages are not held in or adhered to this time round?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I want to appreciate Honorable Ngatich on this question. And I think it is to do with the PE being in one department under public service, that is Department of Administration, Public Service and Special Programs currently. Those are technical issue, and mostly it is linked to the enabling department in terms of paying, which is finance. I remember before this, the budgets for PE were in departments, and it raised serious audit queries. I want to say that preparation of the payroll is done by human resource payroll section, and mostly the byproduct of this payroll, they put them in banks. Let's say employees who are in Equity Bank, they are in one payroll. Those in another bank, one payroll. Now, that's a byproduct from payroll. Now, the enabling department to pay is finance, which uses IFMIS. And of course, in IFMIS, in running, segregating those staff to their departments, segregating them to departments so that they access their budgets, if it was a PE in the departments, was a challenge. And of course, this is a document that has been prepared in another department, subject to audit and financial reporting. So it was a problem. Segregating the staff again to their budgets in departments for the purpose of paying. It was a query, and there was a decision, I believe, to put them in one department where there is a correlation between that byproduct and what's to be paid is in public service, one department. So the issue was to be efficient at the same time for financial reporting. But I want to believe that, Chair, with the new Unified Human Resource Information System, which is superior to IPPD, it is linked to IFMIS. It is linked to IFMIS and linked to other management systems for pension and even KRA and all that, where you have PAYE. I believe this is going to solve the problem, and we have a discussion. If approved with finance, we see whether it is possible that PE is domiciled in departments, and then of course pay through departments. I want to say that maybe the communication recommendation from this house came earlier. I may not have seen, but we'll look into that and discuss with the relevant officers. Thank you.
You promise to look into?
Yes, Chair and members.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Majority Leader.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Langat, my questions will be sent out on the Public Service Board. If approved by this Assembly, you will be the head of the County Public Service, and you will be working closely with the Public Service Board. Kindly explain the roles of the County Public Service Board as provided for under the County Governments Act 2012. Number two, so that you will answer all at once. As the head of the County Public Service, do you think you will have the jurisdiction or powers to supervise the financial or administrative aspects of the County Public Service Board? To supervise the financial or administrative aspects of the County Public Service Board? And why is it that your office has decided to carry out some mandate of the board, like redesigning and transferring county officers without involving the board? These cases have been there. And finally, regarding the two directors appointed in the same docket, that is the director, Mr. Sang, and later on, after Sang has been serving the office, another officer by name Kimayo was appointed, bringing a lot of problems that has not been settled to date. Can you highlight what action you have taken or what you will do in order to settle this problem once and for all? Thank you. Come up with the answers.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I want to appreciate the question posed by Honorable Kuri, Majority Leader. The County Public Service Board is an agency of the government, county government, and has specific mandate and role stipulated in the Constitution and the County Government Act. And one of the major roles of the County Public Service Board is to appoint staff through a competitive process. They also establish and abolish offices when the county executive wants to establish an office. They give a recommendation to be approved by the Public Service Board. They also exercise disciplinary control. In other words, the discipline issues regarding staff are finally handled and finally decided in the County Public Service Board. They also of course they promote. There's promotion because once the staff is due for promotion, the recommendations done by the CHR MAC from the officers, authorized officers, the board promotes them. They also approve. They also confirm appointments. If they have been appointed and they're on probation, they confirm appointment. They also advise the staff on values and principles of public service to ensure that they are adhered to, among other roles. The county secretary, being the head of public service, has a coordination role, just a coordination role, in the sense that all staff matters or matters human resource, which maybe start from departments, and let me give an example like recruitment. Initiating recruitment, staff needs assessment is done at the departmental level, and then that recommendation is done, and then of course it's in the plan, recruitment plan, and there's availability of funds. The county secretary, of course, have discussions. The declaration of vacancies to the board, and the board advertises and recruits. So it is just within the coordination role. We don't supervise. CS doesn't supervise them. In terms of financial, they have an accounting officer. The CEO or secretary is an accounting officer, which I think has been appointed by CC Finance for matters financial, because they have their budget, and they have an accounting officer. An accounting officer is full responsibility on finances, assets, and liabilities of that agency, being an entity. Let me use the word entity, because in PFM Act, entity and maybe departments have an accounting officer. The same thing with administration. Administratively, they are on their own. But by way of activities we do on staff matters, there is a bit of linkage on that matter. Now, regarding the members of staff or officers you have mentioned, when I came to public service, the first officer was in office, and had been seconded by Public Service Commission, and being acting director. Now, the second officer, there was I want to say that the initiation of recruitment, in my view, did not start as it should be, because this is as a result of an advertisement that was done before, and it was non-responsive, which meant that initiating the process of recruitment should have started from the user department, coming up with the intent to be forwarded to the County Public Service Board. But we actually discussed with them, and but the process went, and I want to say it did not reach the end also, because this officer, there was no adding over. He didn't assume office because there was another officer in the office.
So in this case,
yes, and I want to say that we are working on this issue.
Okay, but
Yes.
in this case, there's a conflict where there's an appointment, the public service board, knowing that there is somebody who is all acting, they appointed another person. So,
Yes, that is why I was saying there was a small issue there regarding already someone has been seconded, has already spent 1 year, and then there's also another advertisement here. But I don't believe this will be resolved. If given an opportunity, we will be able to bring to the table all concerned parties on this.
Chair, on the same, you say you used the first one, the second one, but you have here the two names. Which one between the two came from the Public Service Board and which one came through another way, secondment or whatever the way? Because we have the two. Okay. And I'm seeing in this county, even you are acting, and the HR is acting, which means this county like acting, so many acting everywhere. So which one is, according to the law, which one is which? According to the law.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The first officer was seconded, as I said, I was in the office, was seconded in the year 2020. Mr. Sang. Mr. Sang Simon was seconded, and I mentioned that this was as a result of non-responsive recruitment that was done properly by the board. With due respect to the board, they had advertised, officers applied, the interviews were done, and non-responsive. So it came to the end. It ended. That process ended. There was a sitting then in the county executive, and there was a decision that as we wait to do another advertisement in future, we can have a Public Service Commission seconding a staff. And there was a communication to that effect to Public Service Commission, who seconded the staff to the office. This officer worked, and I think in the process there was this advertisement now, which I say did not begin from where it should begin from. And another thing is that once the process reached some level, this officer has not assumed the office. He's not there. He's not there. No. As per policy,
he's not getting the salary from this county.
It's not. As per the policy, of course, the assumption of office means being assigned duties, and of course, being remunerated. So this officer is nowhere. He just came and left. Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
Maybe, can I ask a rejoinder question?
All right.
Okay. Mr. Langat, listen to your conversation about the recruitment and the opportunity that has presented itself. Do you think the law, and that is the County Government Act, has given too much power to the Public Service Board? As it because it's not, if they would go and advertise a position that has not been originated from the user department, are they rogue? Would you describe them as rogue? And is there a remedial measure that we can take against them from the executive? And if not, can that issue still be forwarded to this house so that it's dealt with, so that we do not have a county government entity doing an advert without initiation from the user department? That's one. Two, what is the confidence level you're giving to this house or to this committee on the advert that went out on the Department of Health, on whether we will have 100% absorption of the staff that have been serving previously without having other external recruits from there, disenfranchising people who've been loyal to the county for the last over 10 years or something, or even more than 5 years. So anyone who's just been working in the county, what is the word that you would give to this committee? Because we want, at the end of the day, we want to still be back to where we were, or what is the confidence level that you'd give to this committee member? Because we come from various wards. And part of what will hit us, Chair, is the fact that if any of those members lose their jobs, the beating will go to the MCAs. and that's why the reason why we're asking, because we don't want anybody losing their jobs, and the cry will be on our desk more than the executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. And I would say that, of course, as a government, all arms should be able to have a working relationship because they play different roles. And once we have that flow, we cover a lot, we achieve a lot. I would not say the board has a problem because we've worked for long and we are still working together. Maybe this was just a small issue that can be handled or addressed. But I was explaining the steps. Maybe they also had the reasons also to go for the advertisement as they did. But I would believe that we can still work on, have a good working on this issue. On the issue of the recent advert, as I said, the key teams met. The board, office of the governor, public service. We worked together and looked at this issue as a big issue and very important. This one for taking through this stuff through the recruitment properly, as per the recommendation I said from this honorable house and also the report from State Department of Public Service. And I would believe that they will keep their word and give a proper and agreeable recruitment whereby no staff will be disenfranchised on the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bwana Langat, I know you know the order which was given by Employment and Labor Court. That was Johnston Chebusit and another was as the governor, Bomet County, and 4 others. That was in 2017. They were given an order of mandamus, which compels the CEC Finance to designate the CEO of Public Service Board as an accounting officer of the board. I've just heard you mention that the CEO is the accounting officer. Is that so? Yes or no?
Yes, Chair. He is the accounting officer.
That is under the provisions of Article 226 of the Constitution, when read together with Section 148 of PFM Act 2012. Now, my question is this. This one, from the facts, it is still being controlled at the Treasury there. So basically, the CEO is just in paper, the accounting officer, but actually it is still up there in disregard of that directive from the employment court. Now, would you consider advising the CEC in charge of finance on the same? That is one. Now, assuming you are appointed or confirmed as the county secretary, how else would you foster the independence of county public service board? Of late, they've been complaining that they don't have funds for training themselves. They don't have funds for conducting some other essential features because their budgets, either their money was reallocated back to other departments, meaning the order of mandamus is not being observed. What's your take on that?
Thank you, Chair, and honorable members. I may not be privy to this order of 2017, but on the matter of designating the CEO, County Public Service Board as an accounting officer, I want to believe if this was done. He is actually the accounting officer, in the sense that he has full responsibility on matters, finances, and assets and liabilities in that entity. To make it very clear, he's just operating like a chief officer of a department, the way I am as chief officer of public service or in education. And they have a budget that is managed in that department They have an accountant, they have a procurement officer who normally process for them. I know when it comes to advertisement, procuring space in a paper, they have somebody who does for them because they have a budget. It's approved by the accounting officer. I know of even issues of they want to spend their budget. The preparation of documents are signed from there. The only challenge I know is we are in a centralized financial system, entire county executive, where we have the IFMIS is centralized. I believe you are aware that, Chair, that all departments access payments through one system. And this entity also access the same. The only thing that needs to be maybe done here is the processing of their payments are done fast, maybe owing to their unique nature of like now they have recruitment, they have advertised, the process must be done within a certain period of time and they need money. So maybe the fast tracking of the same through finance. They also should be given enough budget. I know it may not be, I would like to say that they don't have a budget that is determined that they are using this budget the following year, because issues of recruitment arise. They arise, they are not always there. Sometimes there are so many. Yeah? So they are given allowance to have enough budget, maybe through normal budgeting or supplementary, so that they have. Otherwise, they are independent on their budget. Maybe they need to address. Maybe we need to discuss with finance a way in which they can be given to control. I want to believe that they are talking of having their own finances, the way you have in the county assembly. Yeah, if miss on
they
them.
want to have their autonomy.
Yes.
I think that that would serve them.
So maybe, Chair, if approved, we can have that discussion with them and finance people.
No problem.
Thank you.
Now, I think we are almost at the tail end of this meeting. We've already gone past 1 hour,
But
which is
still
not
have
right.
some of you here.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, proceed.
Okay.
That'll be the last question.
Yeah. When I see us, there is this transfer of senior staff, which is, in my view, it is underutilized. You find a senior staff being transferred to go and work under junior staff. And we have short of those skills in our county. I don't know what made this to be done. And when you go to the County Government Act, if I'm not wrong, it's 72, the transfer from department to department vested in the Public Service Board. I don't know who made the decision of transferring these people. You can tell the committee about those information. Secondly, there is also in two departments like education, you find ECD teachers who have some appointment letters, but they don't have any salary so far, but they have letters from the Public Service Board. And also disaster department. They are working with letters of appointment, but they don't have any salary. That is last. In medical insurance for the county public service, public officers, to ensure smooth and proper service delivery in any organization require motivation of workforce. This can be done through promotion, as you have said earlier, availing of medical cover. But in the past recent, the county government procure a medical insurance for the work for its staff, but this initiative was met with irregularities and several other challenges. there have been challenges that county staff, there is allegation that county staff are not fully benefiting from the national insurance cover, NHIF, due to delay of remuneration of money to the fund. What, in your view, what caused these challenges? The last one is, if this House approve you to be the CC, the CS or the county secretary, what strategy did you put so that you can tackle these challenges that our staff are facing in medical cover?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. I want to appreciate the question asked by Honorable Stephen Jangmorik. Regarding the transfers of staff, I want to say first of all that the deployment is done by board, that is the posting, the first posting. But in the County Government Act, they have delegated the power to authorized officers within the department to move the staff. It is there. And if it is across departments, the authorized officers or the CEOs will consult, and the transfer is done through the County Secretary's office.
The transfer from department to department?
It is through the CS.
Done by the Public Service Board. But the transfer within the department?
Is the CEO.
Is the CEO. And the transfer to the junior, to work under the junior?
I say there's a challenge now. I wanted to make it very clear that I don't remember the section, but there's a section in County Government Act that talks about transfers within the department is handled by the authorized officer, who is the CEO.
72, either one,
who is the
and
CEO.
2, 72,
Yes.
County Government 72, I think 72, 1 and 2.
And then across, because it is involving 2 authorized officers, they do it through the CS. Now, I want to mention that, Honorable Chair, shared service staff like procurement officers, like accountants, human resource officers, they are usually rotated over time. They are moved so that they see experience from one department to another. They are shared. Now for technical staff, sometimes we have technical staff in office who are at the level of director or assistant. While their skills are required, I want to take, for example, in medical field, we may be having a challenge in our facility of a qualified medical staff, while we have someone in the office. So occasionally, they can be moved to go and assist and even look at the challenges, so that they come up with work plans and other ways of addressing these issues when they come back to the office. But they are not demoted. They are taken to the field, to the facility. I want to believe this could be the reason why some of them were moved, but they are not demoted. They are still at that level.
What of in terms of, let's say, one of the director in administration being taken to be under a sub-ward? You know, the medical service is a special case.
Yes.
Because somebody may be a surgeon.
Yes.
And you need to go and work on profession. But this one of administration, you take a senior director who has worked in this country as the DC, you take it to work under a sub-ward administrator.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I was talking about the technical first of all. These you need their skills. I had said if we have a qualified medical doctor in the office, and occasionally they are taken even for other specialized fields. For regarding the administrators, maybe that will be looked into if there are cases of maybe they were moved. We need to address that, and so that their skills and experience in administration is utilized well in the right office. Now, regarding, Chair, the staff who have letters and no salary, it goes back to the payroll numbers I talked about, Chair. It takes a bit of time, but we have done a lot. Almost 3/4 of these members staff on disaster, their payroll numbers, and they've already been addressed.
So if given a chance, you'll regularize.
Regularize.
Thank you.
Finally, Chair, on medical cover, there were a challenge. It's true, we had a challenge last year regarding the insurer who won the tender. The company went under receivership, and the staff got services shortly at the beginning of the year. But I want to inform this committee through the chair that this financial year we've gone for enhanced medical cover by NHIF, and we are almost signing the agreement, and this is going to really assist the staff when they need the services of insurance. Regarding the NHIF deductions, these are statutory deductions, and they depend on disbursement from national government. As we talk today, Chair, the salary has not been paid, and we are talking about 13th of the month. But normally NHIF requires that you need to pay before 10th. So what they normally do, they shut down the accounts when we don't pay. So I think one of the strategies is on this issue of NHIF, we can make requests for 2 months or a month ahead, because this is not a large amount of money. You can request upfront payment or upfront request from National Treasury, so that this staff don't suffer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think you've answered the questions. We are done. We just have one item that is remaining. That is a submission of a memorandum which was done by one Wesley Kipkorir-Sigei. I think he was an employee at a given time, or director HR. This was done. Actually, there is let me just touch on a few of these. He's saying, pursuant to Section 710 of the Public Appointments, County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, I, that is him now, the undersigned, Wesley Kipkorir-Sigei, ID number 8780252, pursuant to the County Assembly's advertisement public notice carried out on the Daily Nation of Thursday, December 1st, 2022, inviting submission of representation on suitability or otherwise, I hereby, and in compliance with the second schedule, tender in my representations on the unsuitability of the nominee for appointment as County Secretary. 1, Mr.Simion Langat, on the following. That 1, you have no work experience as it relates to the position that you are being nominated to. His allegation is that you are biased to the Teacher Service Commission as opposed to what you are being nominated to, that is Public Service Commission. 2, he says you have no education or training relevant to the position, that you are a teacher by profession, and you have acted as a county secretary, has demonstrated that you are ignorant on issues to do with human resource policies and procedural manual. For example, being a member of an investigation panel on a case you instigated against him, contrary to the policy. That was the second. You are noting. 3, that you have shown no interest in and on knowledge relating to the position of the county secretary. That for the time that you've been acting, you've shown total disinterest in and knowledge relating to the position of CS. It is evidenced on the numerous court cases touching on labor. 4, that you have a problem in solving or making decisions. He says this one is done you were unable or unwilling to finalize a case even after intervention by the Public Service Commission. Then he goes ahead to give the reasons that they were trumped up charges as per his chronology. I think you accused him that he mishandled recruitment of early childhood development education, and he says you were the chief officer of education, and therefore you were squarely in charge of that. Now, two, that in an unprecedented move, the CECM and you misused or abused the officers by stationing armed policemen at the gate and chain locks of all HR officers. The disciplinary process was flagrantly disregarded and misused, as evidenced by a plethora of letters he received. He says you are privy to this. Earlier on March 2020, he did a report for the governor and copied the CS. That is you. He hoped that this was going to put the matter to rest. He says he was wrong because he was bundled out on 23rd March 2020. The brief I did to the governor was used against him. That is on the issue of ECD teachers. He is accusing you to have given wrong advice to the governor and the then CEC education. It's important to know that recruitment of ECD assistants commenced way back in 2013, and there are several correspondences between the board and the county secretary. The lists from all the sub-counties were signed, and the board secretary and the CS, his responses were ignored. He had the meeting with the CEC, and you as the CEO then, and the chair of County Assembly's Education Committee, where the matters were discussed, and a present was done for the ECD teachers as a Christmas gift. He stuck with the 2013-2016 list as per the procedure. He never added any, but you brought forward unfounded lies. He says the nominee had come up with a job indent for the unprocedural recruitment of 300 ECD assistants. 5. First of all, let me ask, do you have this copy? You were served with this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The nominee, then the Chief of Education and Vocational Training, indeed approved a 3-day retreat on the 27th November 2019 for the sole purpose of verifying and coming with appointment letters for the ECD assistants. Sample letters that were approved by the board. It had been agreed that we are there to the earlier correspondences so as to maintain the audit trail. It is disturbing for both the CC and the CO, in brackets the nominee, to malign him, yet he was the path they had traveled. All of you had traveled that journey together. 6. On 21st September 2020, he went to see the CS. Although he was hesitant, his request was put in record, and he was supposed to be given a chance to respond, which he was not given because the CHR mark was chaotic. Now, that the disciplinary panel was established contrary to the Human Resource Policies and Procedures Manual PSCK K3 in brackets 2, long after expiry of 6 months, within which the period disciplinary cases should be dealt with and finalized. Where it is found impracticable to do so, the authorized officer shall report the individual cases to the County Public Service Board, explaining the reason for the delay. It is important to know that officers in Group Q and above, the following procedures shall apply. Carry out a preliminary investigation, issue the officer with a statement on alleged offense, officer to respond within 21 days, the case to be presented to CHR mark. If the officer fails to respond within that period, or it is deemed unsatisfactory, if it is not complied, those conditions that I have mentioned, I think it is then given to PSCK. So number 8, conduct of investigations. That's another allocation. He says Human Resource Procedures and Policies Manual states that while carrying out investigations, the authorized officer shall observe the following: constitute a team of not less than 3 officers to investigate the matter. The composition of the team was not disclosed to him and never invited him for a fair hearing procedure. The officers conducting the investigation should be and shall be senior to the accused officer and shall not have dealt with the case before. He says the nominee then, that he was the Chief of Education and Vocational Training, who handled the case of the ECD assistance 100%. He signed several letters, he was the lead investigator, and indeed projected the findings of his kangaroo court. At the time of holding the CHR mark, majority of the chief officers had been issued with expiry contract letters dated 27 October 2020 and were supposed to be on terminal leave. They were therefore ineligible to participate in CHR mark. In this case, he says, your term had not ended, but you failed to advise your erring colleagues on powers that be at the time. E. The junior HR officer who replaced me as Director HRM before being employed by the County Public Service Board Secretariat was the Secretary of the Investigation Panel, by extension the County Public Service Board, but the Public Service Board participated in this miscarriage of justice. The nominee has retained the ghost worker to date. 9. That instead of sticking to the issues raised in the showcase letter dated 23rd March 2020, the so-called disciplinary panel came up with issues foreign to him that he disowned as they were not disclosed to him beforehand, as per the generally applicable fair administrative process in human resource practice. The nominee was the lead investigator and indeed projected his lies during the CHR mark meeting. Based on this panel, whose establishment was flawed from the beginning and of which I was not invited to appear before it, he was accused of insubordination, negligence of duty, questionable integrity, and gross misconduct. 11, he says the CPSP, that is County Public Service Board, reinstated him on 18 February 2021. Instead of you, instead the Chief Officer Public Service Management, that is Mr. Joseph Kabinai, deployed him to the Center of Devolved Governance as a Quality Assurance Officer, a designation that is not in the approved Bomet County staff establishment. He is licensed by the Institute of Human Resource Management as a human resource practitioner. He says you, the nominee, totally failed to resolve the matter despite going to see him several times as an acting CS. The Public Service Commission of Kenya did, in a letter dated 14 July 2021, absolved him from blame, having presented to the Commission all documentary evidence. The Commission's letter is addressed to the Secretary, Bomet County Public Service Board, and copied to the Principal Secretary, State Department of Public Service, was brought to the nominee's attention, but you ignored, showing that you have no respect for authority. The nominee has failed to leave the suspension he was imposed on, and in November 2021, in spite of explaining to him how it is done, the nominee caused insurance of resignation to me instead of acknowledging my termination of contract as per my terms of service. Efforts to have the letter amended have not been listened to. 15. The nominee caused fraudulent backdating of a letter allegedly releasing me, titled Release to County, to June 2021, yet the letter was done in February 2022. So he says, in the foregoing, therefore, I submit that Mr. Simon is not suitable for this position of being nominated to the county government of Bomet. Signed by Wesley Kipkorisike, and witnessed by an advocate and commissioner for votes, Mr. Thomas J. Okinyi, in Narok. Mr. Langat, what can you say about this petition?
Thank you, Chair and members. I want to appreciate that memorandum to clarify some issues. Before I even delve into that, I think the same petition is was sent to this house. Maybe it is
Yes.
awaiting some deliberations, which will go have in-depth analysis on this.
Yeah.
I want to say that regarding the first three work experience, I think I've handled human resources since I was working under TSC and also being CEO Education, where I was fitted as the best chief officer in 2021, I think, by given Gala Award. I've also handled in terms of education and training, we have gone through some very many trainings on human resource management from the level of head of department. And human resources is just the same from one section of government to the other. They are just similar issues. The issue, the case, had not come to the CS office by then. Regarding that, the only connection was I was the chief officer in charge of education, but the case was handled under public service. He's an employee under public service section of the county executive, and all processes, I want to believe, they were conducted. I want to believe this staff was given a fair hearing, right from the department to the committee, subcommittee on CHRMAC, finally until the County Public Service Board reinstated the officer. I wasn't in the CS office, he was reinstated, and the last time I heard was he resigned and said he got a job in a neighboring county, and they were able to clear him, and if you check, he's working in another county. So the issue, the conclusion of the process was in County Public Service Board, and he was reinstated, and as he indicated, he was to be assigned duties by the CEO Public Service then, and he was assigned, but later he resigned and got greener pastures, I don't know, and the issue of the communication from Public Service Commission came after he had been reinstated, but this was communicated to the Secretary, County Public Service Board, not the CS. So I want to say maybe you as a house, you look into that petition. They are all people involved in the process, the board and the executive, and with Public Service Commission. You look at all those things that this staff got a fair hearing across. And then we didn't have anything. It's only that it touched on teachers, but the issue was on recruitment, which you don't do that in the department. The recruitment process, and even the Public Service Board took over the issuance of letters when they saw there was a problem. And when they were addressing the problem, finally, they looked at that they had handled the matter already, and therefore acquitted the officer. Two, there was that period also. This case was being handled during a period of COVID-19, when he was given show cause. There was a break, so there was issue of more than 6 months. But of course, the outcome was positive, and he was given a chance all through. That's what I have to say. Thank you. Chair.
Thank you very much for responding to that. The committee will look into it. To this far, we want to thank you because you've been patient enough. You've been with us, and you've answered all the questions. We want to appreciate you. We want to say thank you for getting time to be with us. I can see the members of who are in the gallery. I had a list of them. I don't know where I put.
Chair, allow me also to say thank you to the committee. You chair.
Before just a minute. We have members of public gallery. That is Alphonse Mugeni from Kimlot, Ngena Chiriot from Boito, Bernard Ngetich from Kimlot, Robert Bate from Kimlot, Bernard Gorir from Singorwet. Thank you very much for being with us up to this late time. I want to thank also the members who are watching, or members of the public who are watching through our Facebook Live. I can see we have 42 people who are watching. Thank you for your comments, those who are participating. So far, there is nobody who has asked any question. Nobody is against your nomination. I think they are doing their own poll on the other side. After that point, we want to say thank you. We will allow the members to say one word, then I'll give you the last. Yes, Honorable Eric.
Thank you, Chair. I want to say kudos to Mr. Langat from his illustrious career and his achievement and the performance that is done in his acting capacity, and I wish you well. All the best, Langat.
Thank you. Honorable Ngetich.
From my end, I want to wish you the very best and wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Honorable.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Wan Langat. I wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, as we expect to have a good time with you next time.
Okay, thank you, Wana Langat, for finding time to be with us. We only wish you the best in your endeavors. Thank you.
Honorable Roslyn.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Langat, for your time, and also congratulations for your appointment. And let me wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, members of the Hansard team, members of the press present with us. Thank you very much for being with us up to this time. Such the terms, the clerk who is here with us, the other members of the secretariat, I want to sincerely thank you for the good work you've done today. You've gone beyond the normal working hours. I don't take that for granted. And as the chair, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for the process that has been done. Bwana Langat, the members will retreat for some few days to write a report on this and other nominees who are before us. On 21st or 20th and 21st, we'll have a sitting here, the whole house, to look into the report of this committee. I want to give you 2 minutes to give your comments to.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. And let me take this opportunity to thank God for giving us an opportunity to interact this evening. And I want to thank you, Chair, and members for giving me an opportunity to appear before this committee. And the good questions you've posed, the insights you had in this position, I want to appreciate, and I want to take positively what you have shared. I believe this is going to go a long way in ensuring that, given an opportunity, there'll be more efficient delivery of service. They will work as expected, following the rule of law, following procedures. I want to appreciate that, considering the fact that you've worked long hours since morning. I want to appreciate what you have done. Let me not forget also to thank the Governor for nominating me for this position. I look forward to a favorable report and work together. Thank you very much for everyone who have not mentioned. Thank you.
Now that you've mentioned the Governor, say hi to him if you meet him somewhere.
And also,
so we say thank you. And there are issues which were raised during this vetting process. If you get approved by this House, kindly look into it and ensure that you regularize the issues which were mentioned. Otherwise, we want to wish you the very best. From this assembly, we say, pokea heri njema ya Krismasi na mwaka mpya iliyo na heri njema. Thank you.